no compassion. And so guess who those kids are? Those are those 50-year-olds, might be your parents or whoever who grew up during that. Those are the kids. The 50-year-olds we're dealing with now, those are the kids who grew up in that chaos. Had to fend for themselves. Do you understand that you had 14-year-olds running projects?
Yeah.
And so now those folks are 50 years old. So do you understand during the crack era, there was so much trauma going on in certain communities and that kind of stuff. That has to affect that 50-year-old person when he was a kid.
Yeah.
19. Don't feel like he's being respected by adults. Now he don't want to respect no adult. Look at my cash. I remember I was talking to one of my clients, and I said, when did you decide you was a man? Even our ideal of manhood is trauma. I said, when did you decide you was a man? He said, man, I was 14. You was 14. Okay. And what happened during that time? Well, I got the slanging and stuff, and helping mom. He said, man, I was so bad that when my mom would have, I remember my mom had a guy come by to see her, and I went down before she came downstairs and asked him what was his intentions, and he looked at me and says, boy, go sit down somewhere. And he said, I took my 9mm and put it on the table and said, do you want to answer the question now? And there was so the thing is, that 14-year-old thought he was grown because of the stuff he went through. And we don't even know how we feed some of that emotional confusion. But, I could go on for a long time, but I'm old. I don't know how much longer I want to be on here, because I'm old. But again, we connect those dots. But before we move on, because this is so we talk about those kids. Now think about that. So they didn't, so they didn't show no compassion to Black women, right? The drug dealers didn't show no compassion to Black women either. Okay. Now these children out here trying to raise themselves. Okay, you got a 12-year-old back in that time. They got to look after their siblings and stuff. Now you got a bunch of them who end up in foster care. And so now you got kids who know more about the system than they know about their own family. I remember there was another story that was told to me by another therapist, colleague of mine. He was working with families, and he was working with this mother, and they were in his office, and she had an older daughter and a younger son, and the mama was not happy about being there, and he's saying, well, talk, if you let me help, we can get you out of this situation, blah 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 blah. And the little 12-year-old girl said, I'm calling Miss Mary. And he said, I thought that might have been an aunt or whatever. That was the social worker. I'm gonna call Miss Mary on my mama. This is what, we might have not had that experience ourselves, but all of us were touched by the crack era if we were around in some kind of capacity. It was a cousin or whatever. I mean, families lost their homes and that kind of thing because you had cousins selling that would come up to Minnesota. A lot of folks came up to Minnesota to get away from stuff. And then, they made that new law. If you got drugs selling out your house, they could take your house. So there's family members who lost their house because their little nephew didn't stop selling drugs. So we talking about all the internal trauma is what my concern is. So think about if you think about when you've done your own trauma work, how empowered you feel and how what other people do and say don't bother you as much. Because, once I got to that point where, I could set boundaries because one of the things that a lot of us don't do well is set boundaries. Because one of the biggest things about our community is we have a tendency to be codependent. We don't know how to disconnect, even for our own health. But that makes sense too. All of these trauma responses make sense under the circumstances. They just don't make sense now. Okay, that's the difference. And then when you refuse to evaluate your life so you can sort through stuff, then you end up calling it resilience. I bounce back. Bounce back to what? When do we get to thrive? Nobody's supposed to be resilient for no 500 years. Nobody.
That's a fact.
And then we done went for the okie doke. That's the one thing the system gives us credit. Oh, them black people, they're real resilient. Yeah, we're like the monkey of the community. We can do whatever we want to them because they're resilient. I ain't got time for no resilience. We got that in us. It's the thriving that I have a problem with. We have difficulty with moving forward. You can't move forward if you're not honest. You can't even heal if you not want to be honest with yourself.
Word. I think that's what hurting people.
Yeah, and then let's think about some of the trauma responses that you might have seen.
Okay.
Long-term trauma responses like increased physiological and psychological issues being passed down. If you should look up epigenetics. Trauma's in the blood. Look up epigenetic. Do you understand that the two groups that have the highest diabetes is Native American and African American? Why do you think that is? They're those two groups.
Why is that, man?
Because think of their unique experience. One was almost exterminated, and the other one, a portion of us came in the bottom boat. We're not immigrants. We're true to this. This land is just as much as ours as anybody else's. And in some ways, probably even more. In terms of the blood and sweat and death and lives that we sacrificed for this. So you got that increased suspicion, have difficulties dealing with folks outside your neighborhood, your clique, okay? And so you can be easily triggered, a high sensitivity of threat. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that you get so conditioned in your environment, somebody looks at you too long, that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem. So you're easily triggered. I remember when I was doing a lecture one time, and there was a young man in the front row, and I went over and I tried to prove this point. And I looked at him and says, why you keep looking at me? And do I know you? And the thing is the look on his face. I did that one time too many. I did that with a gentleman I actually knew, but he got triggered and got up and walked towards me. And then that day he walked out that room and went and got him a therapist.
Wow.
And we're talking about a gangster, a brother in the past. See, and he thought he was healed.
Yeah. Realized he wasn't.
Right. And he's one of the ones who, was a little suspicious about this trauma talk. But and then so I'm trying to make sure I don't miss nothing here. But also alcohol and drugs. We historically have used alcohol, drugs. Alcohol,
that's a fact.
Drugs, food, and sex. And I can add a couple more, but those four are prevalent. Okay? And so you use these things to manage your stress. That's why I stopped working in chemical dependency programs, because nobody wanted to talk about trauma.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for us to stay sober? You get me sober. What do I got time to do? Think about all the stuff I done messed up.
I went through. Yeah.
Right. And we historically have used shame to punish our children.
Yeah.
And so shame is a big one for it, because if you've been, it's in the air, it's in the ether, being ashamed. Folks try to make you ashamed of being black. I ain't ashamed of being no black, but I can see it. We're human. See, when you deny your trauma, you deny your humanity. And the one thing that they've been trying to take away from us ever since the beginning is our humanity. And we keep coming up as human, which keeps pissing folks off.
Yeah.
And so,
That's a fact.
And then narrow sense of time. You know that we have a bunch of young folks who ain't scared of dying. They're scared of living.
Yeah.
And we was having all these issues with young people. Man, they were all that stuff, that car stealing and stuff. Yeah, there's money maybe, but it was entertainment.
Yeah, for them, they was entertaining them, man.
Right. They were in it. And so when you're at a depressed level, when this is normal and you're emotionally kind of depressed, you need a little bit more action to feel alive.
Yeah.
And that crazy stuff makes you feel alive. Matter of fact, think about the rituals we've been doing over the last 20 years, especially since the 80s. Those rituals of pouring the alcohol on the ground for the brother ain't here. Think about it. Which brings me up what I call the Tupac Biggie syndrome. More important in death than in life, although not really. But what I'm saying is all these stories we have. I know, like one guy said, man, hey, man, at least I have a story. They won't forget me. I even got guys who I was doing some work at the prison. God, I've been doing a lot of work at the prison, and we were talking about being a father. And I asked the guy, we was talking about their children, and they were in the jail. And we got to talking about that, and one had 5, and one, they all had various different, and they had the few of them had multiple mothers of their children. And they asked me how many kids I got. I said 1. And you might not believe this, but one of the dudes started crying. He says, "What about your legacy?" I want y'all to hear what I just said. What about your legacy? So think about that. See, if we don't deal with the trauma, we can't connect the dots and we can't correct the problem.
Yeah.
We keep going around in circles because we're scared to deal with the trauma, and the system is scared that talk about our trauma because they feel guilty, and I don't care.
Yeah.
But we are the ones. I don't, like people. I've given lectures and people say you don't really talk about white people. I said no because they're not important in this conversation.
Facts.
Because the thing is we got to get this conversation amongst us. Because think about it, we even got you. I know some of you probably done heard. I'm all over the place now. Y'all done got me riled up. Done heard of double consciousness?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard of triple consciousness?
No.
Think about that. What do you think that might be?
Triple consciousness?
Yeah, triple consciousness.
I don't know. I know about being conscious and aware. And,
okay, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I just know about being conscious and aware of self or what's going on. But what's the triple consciousness?
Triple
What?
consciousness.
Hold on, what was that? Man, mute your mic, whoever that was, man. What was that? That was crazy. I'm sorry. I forgot the mic was muted. Go ahead.
Well, triple consciousness, double consciousness was W.D. Du Bois talking about how we have to be when we're in white spaces, right?
Yeah.
And how different that is in black spaces, right? Being ourselves, more or less, right? Triple consciousness is about how we have to act in white spaces, but also how we have to act in certain black spaces. One more time. How we got to act in certain black spaces. Now, example. So I got my grandkids, they all got, good grades and that kind of stuff. And saying, and them being teased because they talk properly. That is not good.
All right.
So now I have to act a certain way to be around my own people. And there's young folks who go through that. That's where I got that from, was young people. Yeah, we got generational trauma from each generation, but that trauma's trickling down and it's all kind of building up and right now.
Yeah.
And then let me see. There's one last one I really want to talk about: reflective trauma. Reflective
Reflective
trauma.
trauma.
Reflective trauma is reflective trauma is really about actually self-image.
Okay.
What I mean by that is I look at you as another black man, I see what's wrong with me.
Mm.
And so taking your life doesn't mean much because I don't
Wow.
think much of mine. So that person could be triggered easily just by looking at them.
Wow.
And so that reflective trauma is really about how I feel internally or how I have to feel on the back of somebody else. And last but not least, survival stress management goes back to what we was talking about. Survival stress management. Survival stress management. Survival stress management where you do behavior without no consideration of consequences. Because it feels good in the moment. Okay. And when you live your life in moments, it's hard to make your goals. Because you got to repeat it. And the ironic part about this, if you use sex for stress management, you're going to have more kids than you can afford. And the ironic part about that, you can have sex education, you could be the sex education teacher. But if you're using sex for stress management, it don't matter. All that goes out the door in the moment. And then when you get the consequence, you want to cry. I got a whole group of guys like that.
Man.
Think about that. You do what feel good in the moment, and this take, and then when it don't happen, when it don't work out right, then you won't be mad at everybody else. So you roll around here having sex without condoms, and you won't be mad at the woman. What kind of craziness is that?
Be upset about it too.
Yeah, and then the thing is how does that trauma show up amongst black women? Black women over the years, because of the push and pull in terms of society and how the society puts all this pressure. Like black women are in a lot of times in a position to feel like they got to be strong all the time. When do they get to be vulnerable? When do they get to ask for help? They even feel to the point where they feel guilty for asking for help. They feel responsible for keeping family together, so they might stick in a relationship longer than they should. Because that's been put upon them by us and society. And then it's not surprising that women at a high rate are having difficulties with their pregnancy, because trauma also affects our bodies. And long-term trauma absolutely has effect. That's how it trickles down. You might not be able to understand it consciously, or you might think it ain't there, but the body will catch that body. And then when we think about black men, how does the trauma show up for them? Okay, think about it. When we talk about slavery, what was black women with? They were breeders. So were black men. They used to have breeding farms. That behavior. So now, if I'm a black man and you don't let me be part of the society as you identify as patriarchy, then what do I have left? And again, this might not go over too well, but sexual prowess, high physical pain threshold, poor emotional regulation and numbness, female dependent, and resent them at the same time.
Facts.
Feel abandoned by society, and they know more about, a lot of black men know more about being punished than being loved. And that's not out, and I'm talking about inside the community. And then we ain't even talking about the children. Rites of passage involves trauma. Like I said before, that young man asked, when was you a man? I had another one. When did you believe you was a man? I was 16. What was going on? I was in front of the judge, and he was going to give me 8 to life. No. 8 to 15. He said, that day I knew I had to be a man. Think about that. Think about that transition. If the transition includes trauma.
Yeah.
So, and I talked about glorifying death. That's what more talking about who you want there and all this other kind of stuff. And you see the gathering of the young people. And all these young people, they got all these rest in peace T-shirts. I know young people got rest in peace T-shirts in their bedrooms, death around them.
Yeah, man.
And then we got adultification. The system does adultification on our kids, but we do too.
Yes.
The circumstances, having our kids grow up too soon. How are they supposed to be kids? And then over the last several years, the suicide rate done increased with our, black folk. Oh man, God, we don't do suicide. No, we was doing a lot of homicide and indirect homicide.
Yeah.
And suicide. The reason when they called me, people call me secretly. I don't know what that's all about. Sam, what do you think about this? Well, it was bound to happen because we got kids who are not into violence, but they're scared.
Yeah.
And then we got middle class kids being pressured to be more than perfect. and a lot of the kids, a lot of the numbers of the increased suicide are amongst middle class kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. What do you want to know? I'm
well, it's no, because we first I want to Andrea wanted to say something in a private chat. For the people that's on the panel who wrote comments, go ahead, man. You guys got the floor. The mic is open right now. If you guys want to, because I know my man, know yourself. Says something. Do you want to say it right now, bro? I'll mute your mic. Come on. God, where you at?
What'd you say now?
In the comment section, you put something in the comment section. I'm gonna post it, and then you can read it, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, nah. I had put he had said something about what was it? He said it early. His brother got the going on, and I'm taking notes.
You were taking them notes. Hey,
yeah.
No, but I put it on the screen for you. I put that comment on the screen for you.
Oh no, he said something about when it comes to drugs, food, and sex, pleasure-based things that keep us coping, that keep us unfocused, and how that measures into like the DNA. I forgot what did he say?
Genetics.
Something, yeah, and how that relates to now and when it comes to the 50-year-olds, and again, like, and we're talking about Black people and we talking about trauma,
Right.
You can give it from that layered, from this is your perspective of it. And it's like, well, I can recall at times, like always, even when I'm doing something good or doing something right in the eyes of, say, for instance, having a job or what have you, I always feel like I'm about to get in trouble for something. I'm always feeling like I'm about to get in trouble, like I did something wrong. So in that, that is also a layer of trauma, police and slave catching. Is that some of what you were talking about when you were saying, like generational, like it equates generationally. So that gets passed off to you some way, somehow. And the when you're in households and your mama and your dad talking or your uncle and them talking, they kind of put that on you. They put their traumas on you, and then you have that fear tactic, and then you experience it, and then you get to relate that there's that relatable trauma, that relatable experience.
That trauma bond.
Yeah.
Trauma bond.
Yeah. And so a lot of our relationships are trauma bonding, whether it's friends, whether it's family, somebody you think is a woman that you actually like. A lot of our relationships is trauma bonding because that's the only way we feel understanding, right? Is if somebody has went through same and similar, and it could be toxicity. It's like, well, if I don't experience that level of toxicity, then I don't feel accepted. right?
Right.
And so, like I said, it's a layered. And with the youth, I don't think the difficult part for me in dealing with the youth is I don't think that they care as much about
And
how important it is to trace those steps back to get an understanding of why you are the way that you are, for lack of a better term. And even appealing it to them. And again, like you said, like we have no problem. And I'm not knocking my man music. I'm just going to use this as an example. But Young Boy, YB, and Solo, you know who I'm talking about. Young Boy
Yeah,
Never Broke Again, right?
yeah, the young kid.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the same level of attraction that we had when we were little, and we seen people in Michael Jackson arena fainting. But
right,
this man is talking about a lot of, death, a lot of
right,
destruction, a lot of things that we're bonding with him. I
right.
feel through trauma versus you get these conscious folks, or you get conscious folks that be like, yo, I don't know how you let your kids listen to that. And it's like, well, it's just a more modern version of the trauma that we experienced growing up to the dope music, all of
Yeah.
the crack music. It all perpetuates destruction on to one another. And
Yeah.
again, as long as we surrounded by that, how is it a possibility of healing? You get one every 100 people that heal, but how is it possible? And again, solution based. How is it possible to start with healing with
You just
these?
start with yourself. You just
Yeah,
start with yourself. We see we be trying to save everybody. That we rather, because there's more
preach.
good feelings out of saving everybody than saving ourselves.
Facts.
We're and that's where I talk about that codependence.
Ooh. So do we
We're
really
very
want to save ourselves, or do we want to feel good by
there you go. There you go. There you
again?
go.
eh,
We just
eh,
want to feel good about it. We
So
go
Yeah.
ahead.
so a lot of these things are pleasure based, and again, is that a form of that pleasure, that
Right.
dopamine, that
Yeah.
feel? It's better than doing the work needed,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it helps you be delusional too.
Do
And
we
Okay.
really want to win, or do we want to look good losing?
but
I
but
forgot.
I'm getting ready to say something that might go along with this.
Okay.
We as black folks, because of our condition, we know how to fight. We haven't really learned how to win.
Mm. We be satisfied by putting up a good fight, man. You know what I
Right.
mean? We
That's
don't even know
right.
we won or not.
We be
And we
satisfied.
don't
We're satisfied with looking good.
right.
Doing
And
it.
that's the other part. That goes back to that goes back to we're satisfied looking good. Everything we are satisfied with everything external. We
Yeah.
start talking about internal stuff, folks start either cussing you out
Mm.
or shutting down, or
It
Mm.
don't
you know,
matter. It don't matter
yeah,
then.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and then they want to get into race. Well, we ain't like that. Well, hey man, you human.
Facts.
Just if you're human, humans get hurt. Humans should have an opportunity to heal.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
now, if
sir.
you deny your trauma, you deny your humanity, the very thing you accuse everybody else of doing.
Mm. That's a fact.
So,
I
I'm really, this is making my day, even though I'm tired. To hear you young people, that's why I did with you young people, man, because you got to sometime with some of the older folks. There's the older folks who listen, but some of them out there, man, they used to give me a hell. Why are you being so negative?
yeah.
And then and it's like, what do you mean being negative? If the thing is, if we can become like what the young man was saying, if you become more aware, then you can do something about it.
Yeah.
I don't have, you know what? I'm getting ready to say something else. I don't care about right and wrong initially. I do
Mm.
not care about right and wrong. And the reason I don't care about right and wrong looks very different to different people.
Mm.
There's some basics,
Yeah.
but ain't that many. But I'm into what is. We can do it right and wrong later. Because what is very gray sometimes. And we have a real problem with gray. We're very black and white people. And that's a trauma response too. All or
Okay.
nothing.
For sure.
Perfectionism. All of those are trauma responses. And people don't even they're acceptable trauma responses. Perfectionism caretaking, and workaholism are perceptible ways of dealing with our trauma in America.
Wow.
Because I used to deal with, and it's true across the board. It just looks different culturally because our trauma experiences are different.
Yeah. For the people in the comment section asking to come up, if you would do something so simple as check your messenger, you will see that I sent you numerous links to come up. And that's for anybody. If y'all want to have time to speak right now, you should come up and do it now, because I don't know how much of his time we got left. I already done tricked him out of damn near an hour. so to have him up here for another 20 minutes, man, is a blessing. So if you guys want to speak, please accept the invites. Andrea, you said something in the back chat. Do you want to say it right now, to everybody?
Yeah, I was just
And
also
then we're gonna
referring to
catch
the
the
video
comments
you
after
played.
this. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the video you played at the top of the hour with the mom, having to be out working. And if we think about it too, her children were left unattended and
Right,
and to fend for themselves,
right,
right? And so I feel like when we're talking about the topic of historical trauma and into today, a lot of times our children are where? At daycare. For how many hours? 8 to 10 hours a
right,
day. And so when you get your kids back, you only have maybe 2 hours of time to spend with them. But what are you doing
Preach,
in that time? On your phone, watching TV, doing all these
preach,
things, right? So intentional parenting is very important, to put the phones down, right? Turn off the TV, play a game, talk to your kids, learn
preach.
what their temperaments are, and then also understand what type of a parent you are. Just because your parents may have done something, that doesn't mean you have to do it too. Right? Taking parenting
Yeah.
classes. I teach parenting classes. People, I don't need that. I don't need that.
They
Look, I'm the
do.
facilitator and I'm taking notes. Right?
right,
And so while
right,
I'm reading the book, I'm like, ooh, this works here. Ooh, this works here. And it's so funny that every time I teach a class, typically it comes up in my household. And so to
Mm.
me, that's like, okay, what are you doing behind closed doors? And you're sitting up here telling parents how to do this, but how are you
right,
showing up as well?
right,
And so
Wow.
it starts with us too. And my mom, she's a child development specialist. She's been doing child daycare for almost 40 years. Right. So then I'll call her and say, hey, mom, like, what is this? Can you help me through this? Right. And so I think having that other person to lean on, but then having that self awareness, because she's been there, she's worked with hundreds of families. And
right,
now
Yeah.
I'm in a position to help families, but I need help too.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then a
Mhm.
default, lastly, in the Black community is we going to whoop our kids. Right. We going to
Right,
whoop them. And at 18, 16, you get on my nerves, you're going to get out. How about
right.
Mm.
we start pouring more into our children love, kindness, kind words? I
Yep.
see your hand, Sam. I'm a mute myself. Go ahead.
Come on, Sam.
No, no, no. You bring up so much stuff for me now. I don't forgot because I'm old. But but the piece is we have to work on people.
Mm.
Because because we keep asking people to do stuff they don't know nothing about, and then we don't explain it, and then we use big words, and then they feel shame, and then they don't want to do it at all, even though
Yes.
they know they want to do it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a cycle.
It, it's a cycle, and so you got to be willing to break the cycle. It's one thing to improve your awareness, but if you ain't willing to break the cycle, it don't matter, because we got a whole bunch of folks out here. And then the other thing you were saying, there is what we call, there's a term for it, but basically it's staff trauma. We got a lot of that. There's a lot of folks out here who are bringing their trauma to their jobs that are doing trauma work.
Mm. That's a fact.
Okay, and so the thing is we got organizational. We call that parallel trauma, where the trauma you got the clients come in, they don't feel safe, and then because of some of them organizations are not structured well, or they ain't got no money, then they start putting pressure on staff, or then turn around and then turn around and take it out on each other, bringing that parallel trauma to the party. because
Yeah.
we don't want to talk about trauma. Because a lot of the folks who do the work when we're working with people are caretakers. They do
Yeah.
that work to be they get in other people's business because they can't handle their own. And when I worked at the hospital in the mental health unit, um, I used to hang out with the patients because the patients had a diagnosed problem. I go in the staff lounge. I remember this one nurse. She was a great nurse, but had a raggedy life. Okay, I mean, and then brought some of that raggedness in, and then think folks supposed to think, and then on top of that, think folks supposed to care.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Well, you know, no, I don't care about that. I don't. That's
I
probably
got.
why that's why probably I don't work it for nobody now. Because the thing is we bring in if you bring in your own trauma, it's like doing a domestic violence group with men and then telling them only problem you had is you didn't get caught.
Damn. Yeah.
And I overheard a therapist doing that, trying to be friends. I ain't got no time for no friends. I want to help you.
I got we got another person that joined the panel, and I want to say thank you for joining. She had her camera on, she turned it off because she's shy, but it's all good. Go ahead, introduce yourself, let people know who you are, and then come and jump into the conversation with us.
Hey, my name is Rakisha Mercado, and I am the Twin Cities Regional Coordinator for the Earth app. For those that don't know, the Earth app, and that is spelled IRTH, is a Yelp like platform for Black and Brown birthing people. So we can go on there and see reviews on hospitals and clinics about what people in the BIPOC community are saying about the hospitals and doctors and clinics. Because if you get on hospital websites and look at who's leaving reviews, most of them are not from the perspective of our people. And in the state of Minnesota, the BIPOC community is having complications during childbirth, including death, 4 times more likely to happen. 80% of it is preventable. So Earth strives to amplify those voices. And we actually have contracts with hospitals here in the Twin Cities, like HCMC and Children's Hospital, to have them go through quality improvement training and stuff if their ratings are low per what our app says, not just the data that they're collecting.
Yes, and this is the Earth Facebook group. Make sure you guys check them out. And they actually have an app that for a lot of mothers and fathers who had any type of experience in the hospital, they have an app for that. So yeah, man, reach out to them. And matter of fact, how can the people reach out to the Earth group and get on in touch with what they got going on?
So yeah, Earth is an app. That's what it is. We do have a website, but it is mainly app based. You can just get on your Google Play or the Apple Store and IRTH. It's birth, but we dropped the B for bias because the BIPOC community deserves to have birthing spaces that don't have biases in it. And yes, that's where you can leave reviews, you can see reviews, and there's also a virtual community inside the app. And the Twin Cities, for example, we are across the nation. So every city does workshops every month. The Twin Cities workshop, which is kind of relevant to the topic tonight, is going to be Healing While Parenting, the generational repair work. Just me and my parenting story. I felt like my healing journey began when I was trying to raise my children. So this is a space to talk about the generational patterns, historical trauma, resilience, and survival based caregiving that has shaped the way the Black community parents. And how can we intentionally choose security, connection, and emotional awareness approaches moving forward as a Black community. So all of this you can find inside the app. So if you download the app, you can get in there, you can go on community, and there's a calendar with different events. This is one event that's going to be happening on the 17th, from 5 to 7 in
Of
the app.
this month, right? February
Yes.
17th. Okay.
Yep, February 17th. There's
Okay.
also every month time with the aunties, which is where
Hey, pull that
season
app up one more time, Glow.
All right. App is up right now, you guys. So please take a look at this. This is their website. Shout out to the Earth. I done did some work with them, man. And I appreciate them. And you know what? Shout out to Earth, man. I was trying to get a lot of the Minnesota Cold Talk women to be a part of the Earth slash Minnesota Cold Talk podcast movement. And we're gonna be in talks to get this thing going. And you guys, this is the app you can get it from. This is the thing they work with, and it's not just for women, you guys. It's for the men too. The big thing they're trying to do now is get the men involved. And me and Sam, when Sam did his conference last June, we talked about how women can come together so quick that a glass of wine they're gonna cry together. But it's so hard to get men in this setting. So shout out to Sam, shout out to TC for creating the centering father. So thank you, TC, for that, where he's trying to bring the men together. And thanks Sam for putting it on a platform that's so high that you can't do nothing but look and see like yeah, this is what we're missing in the community. So you guys, I need you guys to really show some love and go support Sam of what's going on June 16th. I mean June 26th, 2026. You guys, this movement is what we all should be people always cry like, oh, we don't have nothing. Yeah, we do. But we need people to come out and show love and support this right here, man. The mind, the body, and the soul of community healing. I stole that slogan from Sam, but Sam don't mind, you know what I mean? So shout out to Sam, man. You guys, please, man, come out and show some love. Um, Sam, man. Sam, you got the workshop too. Can we talk about the workshop and things like that before we get you up out of here? How can people be a part of that? How can the Minnesota Cold Talk come up there with a table and and be a part of that, man, for that 2 days of conference that you got going on, man? How can people be a part of that?
Oh, well, go to the website, and then the registration is not open yet. We are, if you're interested, anybody on here interested, we are taking proposals for workshops for the conference.
And this right here, the 18th annual community empowerment. This is the workshop poster right here. You guys, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. Scan that QR code. I will be running this live on my page until the end of February. Just because I want people to to see it. I want you guys to be a part of this. Please mute you guys, Mike. If it ain't Sam, please mute y'all, Mike. Somebody got the DJ scratch going on, and they okay, that was you. Rakisha, you down bad with that mic. But we still love you,
Oh,
mom. But go ahead, Sam. Tell people, go ahead. You said the registration ain't open. When does it open for the people in the proposal letters?
oh, that's open now. If you go
Oh,
on the website, you can go in and click proposals. Yeah, we're taking that up until March 16th, I believe.
okay.
And then we're trying not to open registration until we figure out who's going to do the workshop, so we can add them to the registration, so that we can get people sorted out to the room they want to be.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
dope.
you can get my book on Amazon. It's called Just Sam. It's around trauma, black male trauma, semi autobiographical, and like I said, it's on Amazon.
And I have the book on my page too, you guys. I will have the link for that on the page. And matter of fact, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys right now. Um, Let me share my screen for you guys to check this out. What in the world did I just do? Okay, let me share my screen like this. I gotta take some things down. That's my problem. I got so much stuff up. Let me remove this. Okay, this is the book. No, this is not the book. Hold on, y'all. I want to make sure that the right information go up. I don't want to put up anything. I'm sorry about that, Sam. Let me get it together real quick. Okay, this is the book right here. Okay, can you guys see this? This is the book right here on the screen. Make sure you guys go to my page, scroll down, check that out. I will have a link in this right here after the show. So make sure y'all refresh your page, come back. The link for the book will be right here, man. I need y'all to support Sam. We done had Sam over. He done broke the time. He told me 30 minutes, and we done got him for an hour, man. So that was a blessing. Sam, before we close out, um, first, do you want to, Marie? Do you want to catch the comments and see if Sam want to say anything about the comments? Because we got a lot of comments, Sam. They were coming so much. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking. Marie, you still on the panel?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to catch some of these comments that they've been putting up? I will start them from.
I read that one already.
All right, how about this one? And I'll just keep on going.
Love this conference must go.
Facts.
Gratitude, Sam. Not enough black men spaces.
Shout out to
And that's true until you start to understand that this constantly turns into looping, which then makes sure neurological, y'all know I ain't good with these words, system overload.
fact. And I sent her a link to it. She ain't joined, man. I'm surprised usually her and her cousin jumping up in here. So, all right, you want to catch this long book she wrote?
Jennifer need to come up.
Jennifer, you can.
This is crazy. Looking back at the breadcrumbs of my childhood and thinking about roots and the imprint, that right there was the trauma, along with the family and what you believe to be generational curses. Dew planted a seed and grew that you carry into adulthood and you pass down to your children. For me, spending 27 years in therapy, I understood the diagnosis, but never what they truly meant until last year. And being able to understand pattern recognition within myself and in our community, which we have.
Shout out to Sam. That's what he said. You got to recognize it in yourself first.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know it was a name for it.
Shout out to Sam for blessing with us with that information, man.
Redlining at its best. Structure gone. Earth.
Man, we know you pushing that app. We pushing it with you. We got you, man.
There's no comparison today.
And then Miss Jackson that gave it a 100, and then this is the last one.
Look at him.
It's the last one. Oh no. We already read that. We already got that one. I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Yeah, because I could have sworn he was up here talking about that.
Yeah. He was. Okay, Sam, we got to end the show. Well, we don't have to end the show. We can keep it going. But I know that time is boiling down. Any words you want to say before we leave? Go ahead. Let people know how to reach you and all that. And yeah.
Well, you can reach me at SamuelSimmonsConsulting.com on my website. Yeah, you can meet me there. Let me see. A community that doesn't deal with their pain will have difficulty to heal. And so we can do this. We can do this. This is about us, because if we get a handle on this trauma, especially the internal trauma, then, it ain't no stopping us. It ain't no stopping us otherwise, but it'll be a lot easier. So
yeah,
I appreciate y'all having me, and maybe I'll come back again. Hope to see y'all this summer, if nothing else, at the conference. And then if you go to my website and you want to get a hold to me, just email me. You can email me at Samuel Simmons Consulting at Gmail. I think that's enough.
And I will post that for you too. And Sam, we want to invite you out to the Minnesota Cold Talk Podcast Mother's Day event and the Father's Day event, man. I would love to have you speak there. And then at the end of both events, we always do a balloon release for anybody who lost their loved ones, man. I would love to invite you out. Food is free. We're gonna have games and everything for the kids, man.
Just send me the information.
Yep, I got you. I want to show some love to our people on Instagram. I'm so sorry, you guys. I keep forgetting that we do be live on Instagram, and it be going crazy. And we got comments there too. So thank you for everybody who be showing love and support on our Instagram and on our YouTube page. So I know we be forgetting about you guys sometimes, man. So I'm sorry about that, man. I would not do it again. I'll make sure that we always switch back and forth for the comments. Andrea, Riri, Carrie, everybody who's up here on the panel, do you guys want to speak before we get up out of here?
Tonight I just wanted to listen. It was beautiful just to listen about the different traumas, and he did speak on the Black women, because that's where my area is the trauma within the Black woman, and that's what I would have to say.
Well, you know what? Did y'all read that comment there? Riri, read this comment right here on this, because she said she is setting up an event thing for Black women. So if anybody would like to be involved with that, I'm gonna try to reach out to her. And matter of fact, this is what I'll do. I'll put it in the back chat so we don't got to go back there. Marie, you want to read that message, or anybody who's up here can read that message in the private chat real quick?
In the private chat? Okay.
Yeah.
Live Fearless, is that just her name?
Yeah, that's her name. Live Fearless 24/7.
Black women has contributed to mortality rates among Black pregnant women because sometimes they leave the hospital against orders because they have to work or they lack support.
Yeah, and that's why the Earth app is so important too. So how about you, Andrea? You want to say anything before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I'll hop on. I want to thank Sam again for being in this space. I was really here to just listen. I know I gave a couple of 2 cents. And then I wanted to end with, I also work with Help Me Grow Minnesota. We do developmental milestones, birth to age 5. I'm really here, for parents and families to be together. And also, data without stories is dangerous. And so we need to really understand the stories behind the data. So do your research.
Yes.
And again, thank you, Solo, DeMarcus, for having this space. And certainly I'm always here to support. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get Sam a good old Minnesota Cold Talk hat. So Marie, put that on the schedule. I got to get him Sam something, man. We gotta bless Sam in, man, because we definitely need you to come back and speak. We have a lot of topics that I would love to hear your input in. Even if you gotta do a pre-record, I'd love to do a pre-record, Sam, boom, and then have you come on and speak, and then we'll follow behind you, because I don't know if you noticed that when you speak in an environment of people like us, we shut up and listen. You know what I mean? So we'll wait till you get done, then we'll speak, because we want to make sure we get all that information in. Okay, anybody else want to say anything before we leave? Okay, if not, I'll close out the show. Sam, don't leave all the way until I close out, and don't forget to hit end on your no, you're not gonna have to put in when I end it all. Before I leave, shout out to everybody on Instagram. This is our first live episode on YouTube. So if anybody want to help us get this YouTube thing started, we're gonna be doing actual live topics from the streets. When we walk up to people and then we talk about certain topics. So if you guys want to be a part of that this summer, please reach out to me. But this is the first Minnesota Cold Talk podcast live on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm DeMarcus Solo Ford. We have a beautiful, funny show tomorrow. Make sure y'all come and check us out. We'll be live at 8:30. Thank you for joining the Minnesota Cold Talk.